James Horner. Winner of 2 Academy Awards and 2 Golden Globes, he was one of the most well-known film composers of the late 20th century. His use of music, whether for animation, comedy, or drama, is always a delight to listen to. His own style and feel really shines through in the movies he composed, that whether the film is bad or good, his music is the most remembered. Hello everyone, Sylvan Bard here, and welcome to a special Top 10 tribute. Ever since the passing of James Horner recently, I've become pretty grief-stricken by it. And since I consider him to be my favorite composer and a great inspiration, I figured that I might as well do a top 10 tribute to his work. So, I'll be going over a list of my favorite film scores that he composed. And this will be known as my top 10 tribute to James Horner, or my top 10 favorite film scores from James Horner. Number 10. A Beautiful Mind. This one's pretty haunting and teary-eyed at the same time. From its dramatic build-up in the first 2 minutes to the echoing and soothing vocals of Charlotte Church, it all felt like one long piece that went good with every scene, presenting the complex, distraught, and fascinating mind of John Forbes Nast Jr. The music sways with its beauty, and the end title song, All Love Can Be, is just so tear-jerking of a song that it was hard for me to get through when listening to it. True story. It's just a beautiful score to a beautiful film that's beautiful in any which way possible. What more is there to say? Number 9. The Grinch. Whenever people think of James Horner and his music, they either think he mostly does hardcore and adventurous themes for sci-fi and action like Star Trek II or Aliens, or he does very dramatic and teary-eyed themes for drama and historical like Fields of Dreams or Glory. But once in a while, he does one that's a comedy or family film, and The Grinch is one of those. It has not only beautiful themes for Cindy Lou Who and the song Merry You Christmas performed by Amy Hill, but it also has some quirky and zany themes going on during the Whobilation, all around Whoville, and when the Grinch steals Christmas. It's as crazy as a Dr. Seuss movie could go, and it's really lots of fun. Too bad the score is only 1/3 of the soundtrack, where everything else is just songs inspired by the film, and the score itself should be its own soundtrack, and I know it's out there somewhere. But as is, it's still a fun score, and a wondrous one too. And it's certainly one that I listen to around Christmas time. Number 8. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Here's another score that Horner did as a comedy, and it's certainly out there. It has the quirkiness and eccentricness of when Wayne Szalinski tests his shrinking machine or Finding the Shrunken Kids. Yet, there's also themes of danger and peril when the kids find harmless things to be killers. The lawnmower, the scorpion, the bee, the sprinklers. His music makes these things very dangerous and threatening and scary. But there are a few sweet tunes that come across as sad or worried. But most of it felt like running for your life, with the score's main theme, which some people say is a rip-off of Raymond Scott's Powerhouse, constantly pounding very heavily on the intense scenes. And it's a very enjoyable experience. Yeah, people say it's a rip-off, which is why the soundtrack is rare to find, but I'd say it's a very fun score to a very enjoyable yet intense film. Number 7. An American Tail. I mentioned the songs and music in my review of this, but again, it's still a wonderful score. This is Horner's first animated film he scored, and there's only a handful of animated films he did, and there should have been more. This one has a wonderful violin theme for Five Old Moskowitz, and a big climactic theme between the cats and mice with the giant mouths of minks. The sounds again are good, as well as the song Somewhere Out There, which I'd say the version by Linda Ronstadt and James Ingram is better than the version in the film. But for what it is, it's still wonderful to listen to. Even if the songs themselves are good, the score itself kinda topped them. What else can I say? It's a wonderful score for a wonderful film. Number 6. Braveheart. This one is good for what it is. It's the first soundtrack I ever listened to, and it fits the film pretty well. The bagpipe themes for William Wallace, and the build-up with drums, pipes, and strings when Scottish troops fight the English for freedom. But there are a couple of music cues that made me cry more in the film than in the soundtrack. One with Wallace shouting freedom as he's getting set up for beheading, and the other for when a young Marion gives a young Wallace a flower after his father's funeral. In fact, the film itself is complex in an interesting way, with moments of betrayal and loss that are understandable. And the score itself carried it. Its sad tunes and epic build-up to battles are what makes it unique. It's the first score I heard, and it's one of Horner's best for so many. Number 5. The Spitfire Grill. I have to admit, the film itself is not all really good. It just felt bland to me. But the music itself is really something to behold. The sweeping sounds and acoustic feel of the violins and guitars are what makes it stand out. And there are some music pieces that don't fit with the film's tone, like the climax, which sounds pretty heavy with its strings and percussions. Still, the music from the film is pretty amazing on its own. The film itself may be very underrated and may not be very good, but Horner's music is just enough to recommend it, and it shouldn't be forgotten. Number 4. Jumanji. I talked about the music briefly in my review of the film before, but here's more about it. Once again, it's still a fascinating score, and another one that's considered underrated. Whether it's the crazy, whacked-out theme for the monkeys with the synthesizers and trumpets, or Alan Parrish's theme with the tear-jerking pipe flutes in a lullaby-like quality, or the beating of the African drums for the game itself, mixed with a haunting African chant and a few notes on the piano. Each one is very well made, and each do bring a certain chill to the spine. It felt original, and it does scare me for all the right reasons, as much as the film itself. If you're scared of the film itself, then the music certainly would too, but in a good way. Number 3. The Land Before Time. Again, I briefly mentioned the score in this, but in terms of which animated film score Horner made that is the best, I say this is the one. It has the feeling of a grand adventure, a sense of loss, an intimidating danger, and a sense of cute fun. It's all bold with a feeling of awe and wonderment. It pretty much lifts me up every time I listen to it. And the end title song, If We Hold On Together by Diana Ross, it's one of the best songs for a non-Disney animated film. But again, like other non-Disney animated films, it's just a hint forgettable with its lyrics. But aside from that, the score is one of Horner's greatest hits. It brings in sad moments, happy moments, intense moments, and adventurous moments. It really runs the gamut, and it's quite unforgettable. Number 2. Apollo 13. This was the first movie I reviewed, and I only mentioned the music in one sentence. But now, I'm here to talk more about it. And while the film itself is still my favorite, the score itself is along the same lines. The trumpet solo, deep strings and drumming when the astronauts prepare for space, the intense pounding of piano and percussions when the lunar module explodes and causes chaos for both astronauts and flight crew of Houston, and the tear-jerking vocals of Annie Lennox as the astronauts drift into deep space and around the moon. It's all a really great score from one of the biggest years in Horner's career. But the soundtrack suffers from the same fate as the Grinch, but here it's very well balanced out, and it's one soundtrack I often listen to. It's one of the greatest and unforgettable scores of all that shows the heroic efforts of these men and their duty to make it home. And my number 1 favorite film score from James Horner is Titanic. Yes, the one that garnered 2 Oscars and 2 Golden Globes for Best Original Score and Best Original Song. The one that is very overrated until his next film with James Cameron. but in all honesty, it's a really massive score and a very triumphant one at best. The huge and powerful orchestrations from when the ship leaves Southampton to its sinking, the very teary-eyed vocals of Cecile, the end title song My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion, the themes between Jack and Rose, it's all over the place, and it's all very well handled. I've already mentioned which scene made me cry with the music, so you can look into that. But with that said, the whole score is a beaut. It has lots of sad moments, romantic moments, intense moments, and grand, massive moments. It's all powerful, unforgettable, heartfelt, and a real tearjerker. And it remains to be my favorite film score from James Horner. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Tune in next week for a new video. And James Horner, you are my favorite composer. And it's sad to hear that you're gone now. And I wish I had met you to talk about the films that you've done and what a great influence you have made upon us. But now that you're gone, it's just heartbreaking. So wherever you are, James, you will be missed. Deeply, deeply missed.